Ever since Satoshi Nakamoto created the first concept for Bitcoin in 2009, Bitcoin and other digital assets have come to be known as cryptocurrencies, meaning digital money that you could spend on a day-to-day basis. Now, no matter what the original vision was, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have come a long way since then, and their biggest use case is arguably not money, but actually a store of value. We are going to go into that today, and I'm going to explain to you how Wise has the perfect model for store of value, even compared to the blue chip cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So first of all, welcome back everyone to Wise Staking. My name is Peter. I'm your host for this video. If you like it, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe as well. Now, this is a fireside chat that just happened 2 days ago between CZ, the CEO of Binance, and Mark Cuban, and he is giving some great insight on this issue. I don't agree with everything that Mark says about cryptocurrencies, but I do think he offers some great perspective on this particular point.
And honestly, my orientation always was kind of conflicted with crypto because I never saw it as the potential of being a currency. I saw it being a method of exchange. I understood blockchain, and like I said, I did distributed databases, so I saw the value there. But I would always give people shit, and because everybody was saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's going to be a currency," and I was never a proponent of that. But what so and I just followed it and tracked it, and I never really sold anything that people would give me, as they would try to get me to pit things out and promote things. And so I managed to accumulate some things along the way. And then I even took some flyers on some things and I bought some things along the way, some Bitcoin and Ethereum over the years. Again, stuff that I just all held. I would always get into battles with people that Bitcoin's not going to be a currency. It's not going to be a currency, and I still feel that way. And then the whole thing went from it's a currency to it's a store of value. And that's what I would always say. Bitcoin is a store of value, no different than gold. It's worth what somebody would pay for it. Doesn't have a whole lot of utility. I'd rather have a banana if it came down to it, but it's still a store of value.
So that's from Mark Cuban, I think is extremely eye-opening to what Bitcoin is, what other cryptocurrencies are now. They are stores of value. We're not trying to use them every single day to buy groceries. Can you do that? Yes, absolutely you can, but that is really not their primary use case. And arguably, cryptocurrencies now, their number one use case is a store of value. That is really what they are for. And so we're talking about Wise Token and talking about how Wise Token does it better. But first of all, I want to illustrate that by showing you guys liquidity. Because liquidity and store of value goes hand in hand. Liquidity is how much money, how much of that asset are on exchanges. And if you don't have a lot of it, then not very many people are going to be able to cash out. And so Wise Token did this really well by having mass liquidity. We'll go into that later. But first of all, I want to illustrate just how much Bitcoin is on exchanges. So Glassnode right here shows these statistics. You can see that on all exchanges, there is only 16.39% of all Bitcoin in circulation is on exchanges. And so that's basically about 3 million, but that's on all exchanges. So if we go to, we can check certain exchanges, like we can check on Binance, and we can see that Binance only has 250,000 Bitcoin. The biggest exchange for Bitcoin is actually Coinbase, so we can go ahead and check that here, and we could see Coinbase. The biggest exchange doesn't even have 1 million. It has slightly under 1 million. That's still a lot, but you can check through these exchanges here and see that most of these exchanges at best have a couple 100,000 Bitcoin. And so there's 18 million plus Bitcoin in circulation. And what that means is at any given time, if people wanted to cash out, there's only that much liquidity there. There's only 3 million Bitcoin actually sitting on exchanges that you can actually buy. And now, if you think about the price action, we're kind of in a dip right now for all crypto markets, especially Bitcoin. What actually causes that dip to happen? Because we're talking about store of value here, right? So if we're talking about store of value, we want to know how much would it take to lose that store of value and for it to go down. And surprisingly, not that much. So if you're looking at any particular exchange that has a few 100,000 Bitcoin, it would only take like 50,000 Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, that's billions of dollars, but compared to the entire market cap, just $100 million or a billion or a couple $1 billion can actually crash the price significantly on one exchange, and then all other exchanges will follow because they'll see it happening on one, and then it syncs up the price. So we saw that recently with Kraken Exchange. Ethereum was up at $2,000 and it went down to $700 on Kraken Exchange because people were selling. Bitcoin was up almost $60,000 and went down into the 40 something thousand dollars. That is because people are selling on exchanges. And there's still a lot of liquidity for Bitcoin. Yeah, this is still normal. I'm comparing a really good asset, but if you take any cryptocurrency, you can't expect to see more than like 15-16% on exchanges, 20-25% of the supply on exchanges at best. And so this is where Wise really shines, because if we compare it to Bitcoin could crash to zero if just 3 million were sold on exchanges. There's only 3 million on exchanges right now, and it would only take 1 or 1.5 million of Bitcoin being sold on exchanges for people to fear and panic sell, and the price would be driven to zero very quickly. Now, 1 million Bitcoin that's a ridiculously lot of money. That's not necessarily going to happen. There's a big market there, but I'm putting this in perspective because we're going to compare it to Wise, and you're going to see where Wise actually shines. So let's remember these statistics here. So Bitcoin, 16% of the supply is on exchanges. About 3 million total, and any given exchange, even the big ones, only have a few 100,000 Bitcoin on their exchange at any given time. It would only take a 100 million, few $1 billion to crash the price significantly, and that's how it happens. With Wise, we can look at the total supply right here, and we can see that 44% is on Uniswap. So compared to the 16% that is on exchanges, and on these exchanges right here, the only thing guaranteeing that price is the people who set the sell order. Those people who set the sell order could very well take it away and put a lower sell order. Whereas on Uniswap, this liquidity right here, this 235 million Wise, is actually paired with the equal value of Ethereum, and nobody can change that price. Just like people could change the order books and panic sell and change the price, sell for a lower amount. This is paired with the equal value of Ethereum. So this 235 million Wise that we see right here on Uniswap is paired with 62,900 Ether. Now, if Ether goes down in value, that's a completely different story. Yeah, then everything's going to go down in value, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the point is, the liquidity is there for people to be able to cash out, and there's way more of it than even Bitcoin. So this is one of the ways that really makes Wise stand out versus all other cryptocurrencies, because nobody else is doing it this way, where there's massive liquidity. Now, here's the total supply. 47% is staked. We got 8% of it that is liquid in wallets, and the rest is on Uniswap. 44.5% of the supply could be cashed out right now. There's that much liquidity on exchanges, and it's backed up by Ether, and no one can take that Ether away because it's locked. The only way to remove some of that Ether is to sell Wise, meaning that you just cashed out. So that's a huge difference. The other difference when we're talking about store value with Bitcoin is that Bitcoin doesn't doesn't have intrinsic value. Just like Mark said, you'd rather have a banana. You know, when it really came down to it, there's more intrinsic value in a banana because you can eat a banana than Bitcoin. I don't know if I get behind that analogy 100%, but the point is there's no intrinsic value. The only reason it's valuable is because people bought it because they think is a store of value and no further reason. And I agree with that. I hold Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin is going to do very well in the coming years too. However, there are some cryptocurrencies that do have intrinsic value. For instance, Ether. So Ether has intrinsic value because it's needed to pay transaction fees for everything that is deployed, every contract, every project that is deployed on the Ethereum network. So even if that project launched on Ethereum, like it could be an NFT, it could be some piece of art, it could be just something to do with a company, have nothing to do with Ether. However, to perform all the transactions, you still need Ether to be able to do any of those transactions. So anything on the Ethereum network, you need Ether in order to make it work, to pay the gas fees. So because of that, it has intrinsic value as long as people are using Ethereum, and Ethereum is the biggest network besides Bitcoin. So when we're talking about stores of value, Wise did it better in two different ways. The first way is that we have massive liquidity, greater, many times greater compared to even some of the most liquid tokens on the market, which is like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. All the good tokens, they don't have nearly as much liquidity as we do, and our liquidity is locked. Nobody can remove that liquidity. It's there. The only way for that liquidity to go down is for people to use it, to sell Wise into it. And then the second thing being that we are backed by an intrinsically valuable asset. So most tokens, they aren't backed by anything. In fact, the only tokens that really are backed are stablecoins, but they kind of have a drawback because not only are they backed, but they're also pegged to the dollar. Where Wise is not pegged to a dollar. It can go down and it can go up, but it can only go down so much because we have a price floor because of this Ethereum right here. So because of the way we launched, because we use the money for liquidity instead of padding our own pockets. Most projects you put millions of dollars into a pre-sale, but that money doesn't go to backing the value of the tokens. It goes somewhere else. And that means that your token is not backed by anything. You're reliant on the company that's running it to keep on developing and doing do good things. It's not trustless. You have to trust the system. Whereas with Wise, it is completely trustless. Your money that you sent in to buy, if you did it during the pre-sale, well, it ended up on Uniswap. And now when you buy directly from Uniswap, your money goes into the pair, which is not removable by anybody. And there your money sits. It's backed one for one. So when we're talking about store of values, Wise does it better because of these three things. The money, the Ether, goes directly into the market. Your money that you send to buy is backing up your investment. Two, because we're backing with something that is intrinsically valuable. Ethereum will always be intrinsically valuable. We're launching on other networks, Binance Smart Chain, Casper, Cardano, Polkadot. We will have ownerless liquidity pairs with each of those intrinsically valuable assets. And that is another reason why Wise is a good store of value. And then the third thing being massive liquidity that cannot be moved. So I hope this was helpful for you to understand stores of value and why Wise does it better. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, and I will see you in the next video.